Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here is a trade recap I took on Roku on July 9th. So let's get right into it. Okay, so today, let's move these notes aside here. Today, I want to talk about a trade I made on Roku. Basically, I longed it, and I made a pretty nice move on it. I wasn't able to capture the whole move, but the thesis for this trade was not to take the whole move and trade all day. This is a move to move type of trade. And I think this overall pattern in itself is a very viable long, and that I look for a lot of the times if I don't have something super solid planned out on the day. Nonetheless, Roku was the play where I traded on today. So let's bring in the notes. Okay. This playbook trade, this is called morning capitulation bounce play. Okay, it's kind of like a second or third day continuation play. And let's take a look at the big picture. So Roku has been in a solid uptrend since its prior earnings, and the stock is in a very apparent uptrend from the start of the year. So let's take a look at the daily chart here on Roku. Okay, and zoom out a little bit. Okay, so here we have the start of the year. Basically, Roku overall, it's been super strong and on an uptrend from the start of the year, right? It's very apparent on the daily chart, I believe on the weekly chart as well, right? So that's the big picture, but this play doesn't really have anything to do with the big picture. What I really focused on this thesis was the fundamentals, okay? So Guggenheim upgraded Roku from a neutral to a buy on June 5th, causing a gap and run. Okay, so let's take a look at that. June 5th, which is here. June 5th, here, this gap right here, okay? So Guggenheim upgraded the stock right here, causing a gap and then a run. Roku in itself had good earnings as well. So this was the earnings date that you see major volume on May 9th, and then we had Guggenheim on the upgrade, okay? Next, we have Roku has bounced off the 50 EMA on the daily chart from a bogus downgrade by RBC on July 2nd. So Roku over here on July 2nd, right here on this day, RBC Capital came out with a downgrade on Roku during this little pull and sell off here. And the stock has bounced very clearly off this 50 EMA, which is this orange EMA line on the daily chart here. And it initially gapped down huge on downgrade, dipped and held this 50 EMA and then bounced, okay? And that's basically the fundamental news of things. If we're just looking overall in the short-term side, right, we have a fantastic catalyst of the earnings, and then it ran, and then we got an upgrade, which gapped it and ran some more, making new highs. And then during the pull-in, I believe this was the Feds, or no, I believe this was the G20 or something like that. Anyways, the stock was a little over extended on the daily chart, and it pulled in, and then we had RBC coming out with a downgrade over here as it saw this pull in. However, it held, and this in itself shows strength, okay? So on the technical side of things, Roku reclaimed the inflection point of 96 to 96.5 area from the analyst upgrade and ran. Okay, so I want to mark off the 96 and the 96.5 area, which is right here, is the 96 and 96.5. Okay, right around this area. Zoom in a little bit. Right here, okay? So here we have, this is the inflection point, right? Guggenheim upgraded it. The stock held this 96, 96.5 level, and this is where the stock start running. And then on this day, which I actually called I called for yesterday, but on this day, I missed this run up day. But after this bogus downgrade, Roku started to reverse. And you can see on the daily chart, it's making higher lows. And then on this day, it closed well above its inflection point right here, this area. So on this day, on July 8th on my watch list, I said look for a continuation run. However, I missed this day because yesterday I was trading two other tickers that was on my watch list, so I wasn't able to trade this. Overall, the stock was still in play because of this reclamation of inflection point. This in itself is a catalyst, in my opinion, and it will get a lot of people watching the stock. Okay, this is basically a changing fundamentals, right? From a downgrade to a reclaim of a key area, and now we had a run. So I missed this day. So coming forward to today, what I want to talk about is that this stock was still in play. So the thesis was that so Google ran hard the prior day before without a significant pullback. Okay, so on this day it really didn't pull back. Let's take a look at that on the minute chart. Intraday chart, as you can see, this is the day I missed, right? And it ran, and it didn't really have a sharp pullback. It closed very well above its highs. Okay, so on this morning, I was expecting Roku to pull in a little bit because the stock has ran 2 days in a row, right? And it didn't have a significant pullback. So I was expecting a pullback and some sort of a profit taking to come. So this move in the morning was very well expected. And basically the thesis here was looking for, well, let's finish this off. Roku closed on top of its range, showing very high relative strength, right? So the thesis was that Roku is still in play, and overall on the daily chart, this is still a very bullish chart. Okay, so I'm expecting a pull in at the open from a profit take to hold some sort of an intraday support area and then look for a bounce. I don't think people will be panicking from the drop yet unless it clears some key areas, which would probably be the 100 level, right? Because the prior day we cleared 100, but we haven't pulled back yet. So in and around this area, I'll be looking at 100. I don't think panic will actually set in until it snaps and stays under 100. So overall, this is a very bullish chart. My thesis is basically I just want to take a trade knowing that if people don't panic out and start selling, then this is still a bullish chart, and I just want to take a long and ride it for a move. But I don't expect the move to be all the way up just like its prior 2 days. I expect it to hit some sort of resistance and kind of hold a little bit. And for the next few days, I'll be looking at Roku to kind of consolidate sideways, if not fade a little bit to form some sort of like a bull flag, right? With that said, here is the trade. Okay, intraday. As I was watching this come down today, and Roku was actually on one of my side monitors on a side watch. Let's zoom in here a little bit over here. As I was watching this come down, I saw this morning in the first 15 minutes, and I talk about this price discovery from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. It's usually price discovery. It's people are not very well decided yet where they want the stock to go. So I was just watching and waiting, and I saw massive volume come in over here. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. Yeah, let's focus on this. I saw massive volume come in over here on this candle, right? And then as this was pulling in, I haven't really prepped myself for where I would want to long yet. But once I saw this volume, I started looking, and I started looking at the back of the charts. With that said, I was looking at the 5-minute chart, and I was looking for a support area from there. And basically, I was looking for support from prior days, and lo and behold, I saw this candle on the 5-minute chart where this major wick, this is a buyer's candle, bottomed out. So if I'm gonna pull in this wick right here and draw a line across, you'll see exactly where the stock bounced, right? Okay, so this wick kind of gave it away, and I didn't know it was going to bounce here. I was watching it, and I was watching it wash right here, and then I was looking for a spot that it would hold. I was also looking at this area during the morning, but it just basically slammed right through it, right? And it was still early in the morning, so this wasn't it. I was looking for it. This wasn't it. And I saw this candle. What else was I looking at? Oh yeah, I think I was also looking at this level, right? And in the open, it basically just slammed right through it. So these two levels wasn't it. The next level down, it was this wick right here. So I was looking for it. Okay, going back to the 1-minute chart real quick. On the 1-minute chart, as it was coming down, lo and behold, it held. And on this candle push up, I was thinking this candle happened really fast, okay? But just these two candles alone, this is a buyer signal, in my opinion. Okay, so I thought about buying it right here on this candle because it quickly reversed, right? I thought about buying it right here. However, I was looking at the risk, right? 101 right here around this area. If I were to buy it, I'd be buying it around 101.10 area, and I would have to risk right here around the 50-cent mark. Okay, so to me, that wasn't too appealing. The risk in itself, I had to risk 50 cents, maybe a little more, maybe even 60 cents. So that wasn't really appealing to me. So I waited, and I also remember seeing this little candle here with the massive volume. So I waited, and I wanted confirmation, right? If I had gotten in here, I want to see if it can pop through this area first. So this here, my risk to reward was not good enough for me to take, in my opinion. So I waited and I didn't take it as it came down and held this level. And I was watching it some more. I was watching and see if it could reclaim and start holding this level right here. And still it didn't hold, so it kept washing, and eventually it bottomed out around here. Okay, and this was the signal for me to get ready to get in, right? Because my risk was a little bit under the low of the morning here, right? This was my risk, and now at this stage, I had a very tight risk to reward, okay? So this was my initial target at this stage. I had a very tight risk to reward. I thought about taking it here, but on this move, it happened so quick, I missed it. And then it got stuffed too. So coming in, I saw this candle come down and hold a higher low once again. Let's zoom in some more. It hold a higher low once again from its prior low. So here we have the first low. Here we have a higher low. And here on this candle where it got bought right back up, it made a very subtle higher low once again. So now I had 2 points of risk, right? I could risk here, and then I could risk step 2 right here. And those of you who've watched my previous videos, when I have tight risk, even when I do have tight risk, I like to size accordingly and risk accordingly, right? So if I ended up getting in, now let's load up how I got in here, and delete all, load up, settings, load drawings. Let me find the Roku bounce. Okay. So I got long right around here. When I saw this candle this was exactly the candle that I got in on. All these arrows are to the exact point and time where I got in. So I got in long on this candle, seeing that the 9 EMA was about to curl. I had a nice higher low and another defined risk area. So if I got in long here, this is where I longed in 2 tiers. And the point is, if it gets below and starts holding under this stop area, I would take off 1 tier. And then if it snaps this area again, I would take the rest off. So I would have a stop out plan of 2 steps. Okay. So once I got in, it basically ran. I got in long 2 tiers and it hit this area. So from here, I was watching for a reason to sell. Okay. My initial target was the VWAP. So I was looking for a reason to sell. It came down, it held this breakout point where I quickly recognized that it literally held this breakout area right here. Okay. So I kept it on. It held, it broke out, hit the 50 MA. And once again, I was still looking for a reason to sell. It came down, held the breakout area again. So that wasn't a reason for me to sell. I held it. It hit the VWAP. And once again, I go through the same process in my mind. I was looking for a reason to sell. It came down here at the open of this candle, held the 50 MA. Now it's a true reclaim. And it popped up and came down a little bit. And then as it grinded up from here, where it topped out, I was looking at this area in the morning over here. This was the opening morning range, okay? And my average here was 101.11, okay? And from here, my target was 102.50. So right about this area right here, okay? So here it topped out, and from here I started taking off because it basically hit my target right here at 102.50. I took off a tier, and I had 1 tier left. I held it still and see if it holds. And from here, where I saw massive volume come in, yeah, massive volume come in on this pullback candle here. This was kind of like a red flag for me, and I knew I had a trade decision to make from here. So I had 1 tier left. I hit my targets as it came down, and it did not hold this candle right here. I was looking for it to hold this breakout candle, right? So it didn't hold. And from here, I just basically took it off, because if it had held this area right here, I would have kept it, but it broke down, and then the next candle, it started coming down again. So I just took everything off, and that was basically it. Okay, so let's see. You guys can't read the text. Okay, so I sold the last tier on the pullback as the volume increases and the target has been reached anyways. Okay, so that was the move to move from 101.11 all the way up to 102.56. Okay, and I had very tight risk. I had what? Let's see, I had 20 cents and another 20 cents. So basically 40 cents of risk, but 20 cents and 20. And then if I were to take off here and here, I would lose about 30 cents on the average here. So from 30 cents, I made 3.5 to 1, almost 3.5 to 1. I got a point off it anyways. Eventually Roku did run all the way back up to its opening, and kept going from there. But that was pretty much it. I was very content about it. I captured half the move. I wasn't looking, like I said in the thesis, I wasn't looking for a trade to hold all day. I was just looking for a move to move kind of trade. So basically, yeah, I find that these type of long plays, or this pattern, works very, very well for me. I see it happen all the time on this type of bounce play. It's basically a few months ago, I used to try to take it right off here, or I used to chase it in here, and that would give myself a little bit too much risk, right? Had I took the trade on this candle right here, let's zoom back in. Had I took the trade on this candle right here, I mean, where would I risk? Ideally, I would have to be risking here. But if I had waited, and I've seen this happen over and over again, that if I only waited a few more minutes, a higher low with a tighter risk would present itself. And basically, that was it, right? So getting in on here, I had two sets of risk. Or even if I didn't want to take it off here, right, I can still risk off here. But I like the two-tier risk here. In a sense, this would be a very clear indication of the stock not working if it didn't bounce from here. Okay, so it made a higher low, and it's supposed to bounce right off this higher low if it was strong. That's my point of thinking there. And it did exactly what I expected it to do. And I personally think this type of longing pattern is very, very concise and definitely have true edge in it. What's more important though is the daily chart, right? We have a catalyst. We have a very strong daily chart. We have basically stock reclaiming an inflection point in itself is a catalyst that would tell me that the stock is pretty strong. Now on this day, I missed it. So next day, still good. I mean, put it on side watch and it works, right? So that's basically it for my recap. I hope you guys enjoyed what you watched. Make sure you hit the like and thumbs up, share, and subscribe. This content I put out is for free. I do it basically for my own personal review. To me, I really enjoy doing kind of reviews like these. And at the very least, when I look back on it, it's kind of like a type of journal for me, right? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this recap, and I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Thanks.